just with the chords. I put the melody on, then I go away and write the lyrics to it. Other times I get a lyrical idea and we'll put music to it.
So
there's so many different ways
right.
you can write. It's best not to stick to a strict format, really. Just do it as it comes out. You know.
Going back to, you mentioned about the Red album. Now, that was the last studio album that King Crimson did. When
That's
you
right,
went in the studio, or during the time you spent there, did you have any idea that that would be the last album?
No.
Did Robert, because we talked to Robert, and he just said he just suddenly...
It was totally out of the blue. Out of the blue. I mean, we finished the album, we were very pleased with it, or I was anyway, I don't know about anybody else. And we'd invited Ian MacDonald to rejoin the band.
Right.
Yeah.
Now this was somewhat of a revolution with Robert, because they'd been sort of arch enemies. MacDonald always writing the sort of commercial melody lines. I mean, he wrote In the Call of the Crimson King. You've got to give the guy his due. He, having written that, I mean, that's a monster tune. He is capable of writing incredible melodies. I mean, I don't really see why Foreigner haven't got all these amazing tunes on their album.
I agree with
because
you.
Ian is capable of writing incredible stuff. Now, as their arch enemy ship had been, let's say, what's the word I'm looking for? The sort of flame between them had been temporarily put out, and they both buried the hatchets. Yeah. We thought, this is great, you know, because not only is it a really good guy joining the band again, but he is one of the original members, and he can contribute an awful lot.
Circle,
absolutely, yeah. And it would have given the group much more credibility anyway. Not that it needed much more, but it was just seemed so right for that to happen. And at the time, Crimson were kind of poised at the mass popularity level, just about to become popular. We had a very staunch following of about 4,000 people in each town. And we just felt that we were about to get over that hump, and then we could take off. And that would have been what would have crunched it for me, would have been Ian rejoining the band. We had a tour set for North America, Europe, Japan, South America, Australia. And Robert just phoned up out of the blue and said, in his own inimitable Dorset accent, he felt he couldn't go through with it, and he wanted to take at least a year off. And I just sort of went, you know, what do you say when somebody's just sort of taking away your best toy, you know?
Yeah.
At that time, though, I had already agreed to join Roxy Music for one tour, just as a joke, really. Not a joke, a laugh, because they have always had trouble finding bass players.
Yeah, they always had a
and
different
keeping
one
them.
in each album.
Always had trouble keeping them as well. So they asked me to come along to their audition to sort through which bass players were good and which ones weren't. And at the end of a couple of days, I'd just seen 30 bass players, all of whom were terrible. And I said, look, I can't really say that I like any of them. So they said, well, we're going to go on the road in a week, you know. We'll be in Newcastle City Hall this time next week. And I said, well, I'll do it then. I'll do the first part of the tour until you get someone else. And it was halfway through the tour that the phone call from Fripp came. And he said, well, why don't you carry on without me? And I said, well, I don't think we could actually do that. And our management company weren't very keen on that. I mean, to go on without Robert was a little bit dangerous, you know. And so we had to sort of drop the idea. I had already joined Roxy by then, because Robert had told me that he couldn't do it anymore. So I just said to Roxy, right, I'll just carry on with you then. And so I did the North American and the European tour with Roxy Music.
Did Fripp give any specific reasons as to why he couldn't go on
anymore? Yeah. He didn't want the group to become a sort of dinosaur. But I think the main reason that he didn't want to do it, now, you've probably had this from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
But he just is frightened that the world's going to end in 1981 or something. And so...
It's already 10 after 3.
Yeah.
Boy, better hurry up.
And so
anyway.
he wanted to prepare himself for it. Now my attitude is, the world may end in 1981. I could get run over this time next year, but let's get a good tour in first.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Right. I understand.
So that was a little bit peeving to me to have the group that you just put 3 years of your life into, and that you're quite happy with, just thrown out of the window. Mm-hmm. However, I'd always wanted to get back to doing something like that, maybe where I had 25% of the interest in the group, mm-hmm. you know, which is why we formed the first band UK like that. We didn't have to really give Alan a quarter membership of the group. After all, he'd been used to doing gigs on wages. Everybody he played with before
right.
us, he'd been a paid member of the band, you know, like on a stipend. We welcomed him with open arms and said, okay, Alan, here's 25% of the group. And so we suddenly started thinking halfway through the first tour, Eddie and myself, because we formed the band really. We formed it as a trio, but Bill didn't agree to join the band until after we'd actually written most of the material. So we had to wait for Bill for about a month while he was doing a solo album. And he still said at the end of his solo album, he wasn't sure whether he wanted to join the band. But I think he had a meeting with his managers, and they said, listen, there's no better way to promote your solo album than by going on the road with a new group, you know, UK. So Bill, commercial mind, thinks, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. So he said, yes, lads, all right, I'll join.
Commercial mind, so frustrated.
I'll join, okay, lads, I'll join the band. Eddie and I were halfway through the album's material by then. We'd already written The Dead of Night and 30 Years, something like that.
That's my personal favorite on that album.
Is it?
Oh,
good. Good, yes.
I get chills up and down my spine when I hear that.
That's pleasing to hear, because
oh, it's beautiful.
That's
absolutely beautiful.
One of my melodies that I put in the same sort of bracket as Stardust, you know. It's one of those
beautiful
good
melody.
English melodies.
I'm surprised you didn't put it on the live album. I was hoping that you'd do that.
Yes.
But
Well, maybe
then
it'll be
again,
on,
you could have done...
maybe it'll be on volume 2.
Aha. Great.
I don't actually think we play 30 Years that well on stage. We do the opening section okay, but the main sort of heavy section, I don't think we play that very well yet. I think we could play it a lot better. So possibly there'll be another live album, and 30 Years would definitely be on that. Where was I in the story? Oh yes, Bill.
Right.
So we'd written half the material for the album. Bill then suddenly decides he does want to join the band. So we rehearsed as a 3-piece. Bill says, I've got this great guitar player that I've been working with. Alan comes in, floors everybody, because I mean, he is a sensational guitar player,
yes.
no doubt about that. And so I thought, this guy's going to kill him in America when he gets there. He's really good, you know. And he didn't. A lot of people liked it, but not everybody.
Well, he didn't exactly have a charismatic stance on stage.
Exactly.
No, but his playing makes up for it.
Exactly.
For some
His playing
people,
is
for you
incredible.
and me, but for some people not.
But
They